Welcome to the place of rest, where our aim is to give you language that helps you displace the growing confusion, chaos, and dis-ease of our times. My name is Jonathan Boyce, and it's my pleasure to bring to you today's episode. Virginia and fashion designer Tess Lorenz discuss the journey of a dream from its conception to its execution. We hope you enjoy today's conversation.
Tess, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I am always captivated by stories of ordinary people that are intentional about stepping into rest, relational, emotional, and spiritual truth intuitively throughout the course of their life to achieve and accomplish things that otherwise we wouldn't have the means or the resources or the faith or the conviction to see them through. I want our listening audience to hear that pilgrimage in your life, the conception of a dream, that quiet, still voice that informs us for a lifetime, and the sacrifices that we make to stay on course and finish and see things through completion. So your story is just tell us your story in this incredible clothing line that you designed.
I guess I'll kind of start from the beginning. I didn't have a lot of direction in high school. I think most of us don't, but I think what was different about me is I was athletic, and I liked people, and I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this lifestyle through college. I had no really aspirations or goals. And so
what was the lifestyle you wanted to keep doing through college?
Just keep partying, hanging out with my friends. That was it. I didn't really want to be anything. It's not like I was a high school dropout, but I was I'm just going to keep partying with my friends, and I'll go to college and live by the beach. And that's the life. That's the dream. And, obviously I believed in God, but, I definitely hadn't given him my yes in that season, or even really knew what that was until he had called me a couple years later. But what's really interesting I can see now that it was the Lord calling me. I was just sitting, in my parents' room, and you're talking about that still quiet voice. And all of a sudden it was go to fashion school. And I was like, that sounds really awesome. I'm going to look into that. So I did. I pursued FITM, which is in Orange County. And I was like, what would this look like to, pursue fashion? Because I always loved fashion, and I was always really into it, the runways and all that. But it's very interesting to see that, looking back, I'm like, that was so God just turning my life, because I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this.
It does come down to being sensitive to that voice that seems to come from nowhere, but somehow informs you of some deep conviction that you never nurtured or really gave a second glance to, perhaps, but you acted on it.
Yeah, it just, I can't describe it any other way besides God's divine intervention over my life, because here's this thought, which at the time I thought was mine. And I was just like, yes, I'm going to do this. And, just me getting in, I didn't even have the grades to get in. The whole thing was just kind of miraculous. And the favor that I had from school to my internships was just astounding. I was absolutely supposed to be there. And there was such a grace for me in that industry. And as I just began to walk out what God had put on my path, I began to experience his presence, his favor, and it just became more innate within me. this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I feel more like myself and more in the alignment with God than anything else that I've ever pursued. So it's truly like amazing to see how he did that for me.
I think he does that for all of us if we have the strength and the courage and the conviction to say everything else in the universe has order and structure. Perhaps I need to start considering that I do too. And nothing exists in a vacuum. There's always this creative force behind everything. Well, hey, wait, I'm that creative force. And maybe that the reality that, wow, what is that? How does that look? What does that look like in life? Wow, it looks like listening to that. Maybe I'm worth or I'm more valuable, and maybe I'm not invisible to everybody and certainly not to God. And maybe I need to stop being invisible to myself. And that's really what you responded to. But I think it's something that beckons all of us. And I think your story was captivating to me because it was so obvious that you didn't have a sense of direction. But when you heard this voice, this calling, this nudge in your soul, you didn't blow it off. And you said, okay, that sounds like something I'd love to do. And you just pursued it. And I think success and I think meaning and purpose in our life is that close. It is that close to every single one of us. Somebody listening might say, well, how do you know it's the voice of God? How do you know it's not just you being ridiculous because you don't have the time, you don't have the talent, you don't have the resources, you don't have anything? We tend to look at everything we don't have to start what we're being called to do. But it isn't about any of those things, right? It's about, no, if God's calling you to something, everything's going to come to you. I want everybody listening to pause and think, when did I hear that quiet, still voice? How many years ago was that? How many days ago? How many hours ago? How many months ago was that? What was happening in my life? What is happening in my life? And what is it telling me to do or not do? Or where is it telling me to go or not go? What turn is it telling me to take? And be intentional about writing that down right now, because I think Tess's story is going to be a great source of inspiration, not because it's her story, but it's how God works in the lives of men and nations. He calls us, and then he equips those he calls to do what? Listen to that quiet, still voice. Because a heart fully alive is the glory of God. And I believe that he mobilizes us through those dreams. It's just not in ways we expect it to happen. So I'm so excited for everybody to hear the rest of the story. So
Fast forward. Yeah. So, I am having all this favor, like, just showing up to internship interviews and realizing that I was picked among hundreds of applicants and I didn't even see any, I just randomly emailed somebody. So there was just this amazing favor. And I basically, ended up interning for kind of the women who made fashion blogging a thing. And it was just, I don't know, it was just a little kiss from God at the time. And I ended up through these women who were very involved in the bikini industry. I ended up starting my own bathing suit line, which was, very near and dear to my heart because I grew up in Orange County. My dad was a big surfer and I've loved bathing suits since I was 12, truly loved bathing suits. So
we live in bathing suits.
Yeah. I mean, it is to this day, some of the funnest thing, it's the funnest piece to design because you can just do so much with a little piece. I mean, you can make it as bright and as fun as you want and it works out. So there's a lot of creativity there. But I end up starting my own bathing suit line, and this is where I met God. I would pray and things would happen because I think he just wanted to show me that he was with me. And my relationship with God really grew in business.
Stream of communication. You established a stream of communication with God.
Yeah. And I remember I walked up this mountain like every day for probably a couple of months, and I would just pray. Like, I was 19 years old. I launched this bathing suit line, and I was like, God, like, we had a connection with Kim Kardashian. Had just moved out of LA at the time, but we knew a woman that knew her, and she was going to give her our bathing suits. And I just prayed fervently. I was like, God, please let her wear my bathing suits. And I'm 19, 4 months into launching our brand. I mean, she is literally on the cover of like People magazine, all over every grocery store in my bathing suit. I mean, like, he did more than answer my prayer. He was like, I hear you and I love you. And let's do this thing. So, we just like, that's kind of where the journey began. But
did it launch your company?
It did. That launched my company, and a lot of things happened after that. And that company lasted for 7 years. And then during COVID, me and my partner at the time chose to shut it down. And I had this like dry season in fashion, I guess you could say, where like I got married, I had a baby, and I kept trying to like work in the industry, and all these doors were shutting. So I came to this place where I was like, okay, God, like, you did this amazing thing in my life, and I think we're done. Like, you're not moving anymore. You're not opening any doors. I'm spending all this money trying to start a business, and all my samples are coming back terribly. Like, we're done. Let's do real estate. Let's do something else. Like, what's next? About a year and a half ago, I was laying in bed, and he said, start a business with your mom. And I was like, no, I am not starting a business with my mom. Like, I'm 30 years old. I don't need to go back to my parents for help. Like, this is not the way. I need to be like sufficient on my own. And, I really like tested that voice, and it ended up being the Lord. And today, I mean, we are getting ready to launch in 9 months, fall 25, our first luxury women's ready-to-wear line. And I mean, like, before launch, the favor and the connections and the things that have happened have been astounding. And there's no doubt in my mind that this is what God's doing. And, just even like my relationship with my mom, like, there's just been so much redemption. And it's truly beautiful to see that this was the way forward, like relationship with my, like, it kind of feels like God is like, he always has like bigger purposes. Like, he's not like, I'm not just gonna
dream. Than we ever dream.
Yeah. Cause in my brain, I'm like, I love fashion, and let's do a fashion line together. And God's like, how about we do that? And I bless your relationship with your mom. And, it's always like he has all these different ways that he wants to bless us more than we can ask, think, or imagine. So,
by the way, Tess's mom is a beautiful, beautiful, natural, just beautiful, organic, transparent woman of substance. Mm-hmm. When I think of somebody that's beautiful, I think of people like your mom. Mm. She just has a beauty about her.
Yeah.
That is so natural, and I don't know, there's something just compelling. You knew before I met her that she would be a kindred spirit, and she really is. She's amazing. I can't wait. After the launch, I want to have you both on to talk about how to execute a dream like that.
Oh yeah. It's I have to say, I don't really know how to put this into words, like how to describe my personality, but I'm pretty, in this industry, I'm like very like black and white. I'm like, we're either doing it and we're going to be the best, or we're not doing it all. And there's been like a couple speed bumps where I've gotten like a little bit discouraged, and, you know, I'll walk into her house just kind of like, God, did I hear you right? Are we supposed to do this? And, you know, this is all in my head, and my mom will be like, isn't it amazing what God's doing with us? And she's like been so positive through the whole time. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, she's totally a couple times has like talked me off the ledge of like, you know, I don't think we should do this. I didn't hear right from God. And so she's like saved me a couple times. But yeah, it's been super fun.
Wow. Tell us about the clothing line.
So,
and what you named it, when it comes out, how people can order it.
So the name is Tess Lorenz, which is my name. And, you know, that's obviously any amateur designer wants to have a name after them. And it was something I fought the whole process. I was like, it is not going to be named after me. And I mean, we went through like every family member's name before we got to mine. And it like just so happened to be the only name that could be trademarked. And I was like, okay, Lord. But
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I know. Kudos to my husband for having a great last name. But yeah, so we named it Tess Lorenz. Originally, it was going to be Moses after my daughter, which we were excited about. But there was a lot of, like I said, trademark issues. And honestly, like the identity of the brand is still growing every day. And we are right now in the development stage in Paris. So everything is getting, all the samples get developed in Paris, and then the manufacturing is in Europe. And that kind of happened that way because we just really wanted to go for like the luxury garment. We wanted everything to look amazing. So we went to the professionals, and we're really like doing it right. But all the fabric's Italian. I mean, I'm like, feel like I'm kind of living a dream. Like, you know, we're flying to Paris to look at fabrics. We're doing all of our development there. I mean, it is beyond like what I thought a career in fashion could look like.
With your mom. That's what I love about it. With your mom.
I know. And it's pretty cool because there's like this wave in the fashion industry of mother-daughter duos starting clothing lines. Like, it's kind of like there's this, like, you're seeing, I know. And so it's become kind of popular, and someone wrote an article about it recently. It was like 10 brands of mother-daughter duos that just started, and it's kind of fun. So, but yeah, I mean, we're traveling together, we're working together. It's pretty an amazing story so far.
I'm inspired to know that the essence and the substance of what I often call divine love, which is the love of a mother. It's almost difficult to describe. I don't know that there's words to describe the love of a mother for her children. But to see that in this day and age, there's an uprising of sorts among designers to create coverings, if you will, things that make us feel beautiful, comfortable, nurtured, cared for, presentable. I don't know. It's just, I think those things are so near and dear to the heart of a mom anyway. So to get to do those things with a daughter, I think it's fascinating. I'd like to explore that topic with you when the line comes out and your mom is here, because I think there are many implications and subliminal implications that are significant given the confusion, chaos, and dis-ease of the age and what it's done, what it is doing to families to people, to individuals. And I think it's just very interesting that there's also simultaneously this trend to design the clothes we live in.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to exploring that with you. So Tess Lorenz, when do we get a peek, to take a peek at this line?
It seems like probably July. We're supposed to launch September 25 for fall. And then we will have a winter collection and then a spring collection following. So I'm actually going to Italy in a couple weeks to a fabric fair for spring 26. So we're, working like way in advance. But we should be posting some little sneak peeks and getting people familiar with the brand probably around July of this year.
I am so excited. I have a big event May 22nd in Philadelphia, and I was looking forward to showcasing your line, but I intend to wear all of it. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm excited to dress you. That sounds like fun.
Tess, I'm so excited. I think there is something sacred about masculinity and femininity. And I think it's deeply moving, stirring, essential, but it's deeply sacred. And because I know you, I've had the privilege of working with you privately, and I've gotten to know a little bit about your family. I think you're doing something so much greater than designing clothing. I think you are restoring dignity to what is often cheapened for the sake of expediency, both in what we produce, manufacture, buy, wear. We've become so practical about something that is so meaningful because our clothing is a form of expression. And you know me, I'm a casual person by nature. But the things I value and the things I love in fashion and in design represent everything that you embody and the things that you're going after in this line.
Yeah. And I think, the thing about clothes, it seems like, some people might just think it's just clothes, right? Like they might even say it's vain, whatever. The thing that's very interesting about clothes is how it can shift your atmosphere. And I mean, I think everyone can relate with that. I mean, like if you're into gardening, you put a pair of like rubber boots on and overalls, and all of a sudden you have embodied like a gardener and you are like working harder. You've shifted your atmosphere, and you can do that with a suit. You can do that with a summer dress, right? Like you wear a summer dress, you put your hair up, all of a sudden, like you just feel a little bit happier. And so, God he cares so much about beauty. I was just reading Genesis and, how he placed the stars and the moon. It was like, the sun didn't have to rise slowly for us to enjoy its beauty. Like it could have just been there and like been gone, but there's just something to design.
Yeah. There's process. There's layers, process, time, beauty, attention, detail. Yes.
Yeah.
Movement, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with what you're saying. It's like, it's important, and I think, sometimes it's like, I want the deeper meaning, like, why am I doing this? But at the end of the day, it's like, I love beauty. I love design. And I think that, I think it makes the world like an amazing place, So.
It has a voice, right?
Yeah.
It's funny when you were saying I am going to go to a textile show. And I thought, wow, it's not just stuff you're going to touch. It's the voices you're going to hear when you touch them. It's the things you're going to feel when you touch them. It's the things you're going to hear, the senses, what it's going to do to your senses. And when you put all those components into something you tailor, it's a whole message. It's a voice. It's a statement. They're really statement pieces.
Yeah.
I am praying that through this line, and I know will happen intuitively because of your work, that we restore this sense of profound dignity to the process of, getting ready as women. What is it? What does it mean to really get ready to go out? What a beautiful thing we get to carve out a little bit of time for, whether we live in grass huts or we live in downtown Manhattan or in San Clemente, where we've made our home for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We, as a discipline, do carve out time to put on these garments. What story will they tell? What will they reflect about us?
Yeah.
But I just want to send you off with blessings as you go to pick out materials for these amazing designs.
Thank you.
Because they're going to embody things that most of us will miss and not think about.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I feel like I have a very small idea of what God's going to do, but the plan is just to give him my yes and surrender and let him lead. And I think he could do, some pretty big things, because I think people can see that the industry needs a lot of light. And so,
and life.
And so I don't know what the plan is. I mean, it could be as small as making beautiful things, and it can be as big as taking down some of these demons in the industry. And so we're going to see what the plan is, but I'm excited. And so far it's been just like jaw dropping to see, all the connections, all the things. It's pretty amazing.
Anytime we can displace darkness with life, it's an opportunity that we all need to step into and take. And I hope your story serves as a form of inspiration to women who are listening and men who are listening, teenagers who are listening, and say, wow, maybe I need to take that quiet, still voice that informed me about X, Y, and Z seriously. What do I have to lose? I'm going to dream. And I would encourage everyone listening to make your appeal to heaven before you discuss it with people. Make your appeals to heaven. Ponder these things quiet in the quiet spaces of your heart. Trust that when God gives you a dream, he'll see it to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just to your comment from the beginning about how do you know if that voice is God or not? And I think what I've learned is trusting that he will shut and open doors. And just, as cliche as it sounds, it's like follow your heart and allow him to close the door. Like, you don't need to play God in the beginning, walk out your dreams, let him lead, let him shift your heart. Because, like, for me, like, just acting like a child, saying, I love fashion, has led me to this place. And there was no religion involved. Like, I just followed my heart. I just loved this thing and he blessed me in it. And so I think it can be really simple. And that's the good news. It can be as simple as following your heart.
Tess Lorenz by design. It is. It's as simple as that. You are who you are by design. And the fruit of that is he wants you to design from that place.
Yeah.
Tess Lorenz by design. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Virginia.
You are a ray of sunshine. You have so much light and life in you. I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Thank you. I'm excited to share it.
We hope listening to this episode has brought you closer to experiencing the freedom of wholeness and healing. If you have questions or comments about today's episode, or for updates about R.E.S.T, please visit our Instagram or Facebook at The Place of R.E.S.T. If you would like more information about Virginia, or to support and join the cause of R.E.S.T, please go to theplaceofrest.com/donate or call 949-289-5935. Thank you for listening to R.E.S.T with Virginia Dixon. We'll see you next week.